I'm taking my thing right now.
Oh.
So she wouldn't miss it.
Well, thank you for giving it up. Also, the Emmys are on, and some of you like to watch that, but for you that want to watch it when you get home, it is doing the whole rerun at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, they're running.
So there you go, because they knew some people
Just
would be
for
watching
us.
football. They knew we
They,
would be.
you mean it's on now, but they're doing it again?
It's on now till 8, and it'll start again at 9 all over again.
Oh, wow.
So you can see, for your goodness to come here, you'll get to watch it later.
You're good.
Oh, it's so great. This week has been really a good week. I hope it's been good for all of you. And I hope you've all come with an event, or an awakening, or a transformation, or a spiritual thought that you would like to share, because this is open night. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to allow you to do it from your seat. I want you to either stand up or come up here. You can stand up. But Spencer is going to be recording. What we do is we put this on YouTube. You can, and if you don't want your picture, just say, please, I'll just speak, but don't record me, okay? And then Spencer won't. You can go to YouTube-KaRin Varner, V-A-R-N-E-R, and it'll pull up all of our Spiritual Awakening meetings. So that if you want to watch one that you missed, you can go there and watch it, or watch bits of it. Let's see. I just don't know. Source is just so good. And, you know, there's just so many neat things happening. Awakenings come in very many different shades of color and sounds. You know, some people, they walk in the desert and they are touched spiritually. Other people, it's in a prayer chair, or it's right before they go to bed, or they have a certain place that they reach out to listen to spirit. That is very enriching to me to do meditation. I love it, and especially group meditation, and we'll do some at the end tonight. But I tell you, the way Spirit works with me, it just knocks me over when I'm doing dishes or driving the car or having a tough day. You get that tug at your heart, you know, that little spark that you feel. And that's usually when something good is going to flow and going to come towards you. In 1991, I divorced my husband, and well, I left. And I left my dream home, and I left a lot of material things behind. And I went into an apartment that was called my cave, because it was garden level. And it was not in the best part of the neighborhoods around, but it was what I could afford. And the yards were not kept up that well, and there weren't any flowers or any blooming trees. One afternoon, I was very depressed or sad or regretful. And so I just sat on the end of my bed, and I just, you know, fell back. You know, you all have done that before with your clothes on. You just go back on your bed, and I had my arms out like this. And the next thing I know, standing at the foot of my bed, not far from me, because my knees were hanging over the edge, there was a little girl with these big black curls, with a big bow in her hair, and this cute little dress on, and she said, "Come with me." And she put her hand out. Well, later, as I analyzed this, she was me as a child, but she became my higher self. Because my higher self knew that I would recognize her. The happiness she always had, the joy, the giggling, the running, the skipping. But I didn't know that at that moment. All I knew in my dream was I was seeing this little girl who was me. So I took her hand, and right at the end of my bed was the wall, because I had a little tiny bedroom. And she started through the wall, and I went right with her. And I could see inside this real thick wall all the wires and all the insulation. And I was amazed. I thought, wow, I'm walking through a wall. And we walked right into the living room, right up the stairs. And I thought, oh, where is she taking me? And as we got into the courtyard, I saw lambs and lions and people nodding and saying hello to each other, the sun, the trees blossoming. It was a paradise, is what I saw. And she looked up at me and she said, "Isn't life beautiful if you can see it this way?" And I woke up. And when I woke up, I was still like this. And it was a lucid dream. It was definitely a spiritual awakening. My whole perspective changed. I got a job soon. You know, I was able to afford things again. My life opened up because I opened up. So sometimes when you're so weary, or you're worried, or you're tired, your higher self will come to you with a spiritual awakening in your dreams. And I'm wondering if any of you have had an experience where you have seen your higher self outside of yourself. Has anyone experienced that? Well, tonight at the end, we're going to have our meditation. That's what we're going to meditate on, is to call forth our higher self to answer one question that we really want to know. And I think that'll be really inspiring to us. So now I've shared, I have told you one of my awakenings. I've had many, many, many. And like I say, I have them every day, and none are too small. They're all so gigantic in our spiritual growth into our soul. So I want you to share as long as you want. Don't feel like you're going to be cut off. Anyone that wants to go first, and then, okay, Jeff?
Yeah, I'd like to do voice only.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and what I've done is I've been coming here for over 3 years, and I've mixed what I've learned here in other, like on New Age classes to improve my quality of my work at work. My scores go up. What I'm trying to do, though, is find out ways to keep the scores going up, but do everything faster and accomplish more in the day. So that's my only question, if anybody has any ideas on it.
Go ahead, everyone. Did you hear what his question is? And maybe you can address it.
What kind of job? Inbound calls.
Incoming calls.
Incoming calls and giving out a whole lot of education. You can go up to 40 or 45 minutes. A lot of educating with the caller and then documenting properly, that sort of thing.
So what's your question, Jeff?
So the quality has gone up after I learned how to react and how to do things. Quality has gone up, but I want a lot more speed at work to accomplish all these things and keep the quality where it is, but accomplish more.
I'm not sure.
Raise the speed.
I'm not sure speed is something that you should strive for, because it sounds like what I'm hearing, if you're giving out important information, that really doesn't have anything to do with speed. It has to do with how you're giving that out.
But his management company demands that.
Ah,
See,
okay.
that's what he's talking about.
Yeah,
They do on numbers. They grade you on numbers.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Well, I was thinking that maybe you could get a couple of your more trusted friends, and you could sort of go through your routine that you use with the call, and you could do sort of like a mock situation with them, and you know,
Role-playing.
little role playing with them, and then you know, keep a timer or a watch or something, and see if maybe they can give you some suggestions on how to condense your thought a little bit more, you know, or something like that, where you can get some feedback from people that you trust.
Yeah, that's
and
real
care
nice.
about
It's real nice. I wrote it down, yeah. And then what I also want to is an overall approach that meshes with all the things that you've talked about in the last 3 years, that meshes with it, that I can bring to work and speeds up the overall process, because there's more than that to it.
Right.
But thank you, I did write it down.
Right, the website too that Spencer's talking about might be a good place for you to do some queries, you know, where you can ask questions and
Maybe there's other
feedback.
people that are
Right.
in your situation that can give you some guidance.
Right.
And when you sign up for this, you don't have to put your real name or anything, you know, so.
Right, and they're all spiritual people, we would think, or somewhat spiritual, so they would give you the right, from the right place in there, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
I have a couple friends too that work at call centers, so if you're on the website posting, I'll just tell them, hey, talk to this guy.
How neat.
Yeah, so just post on there.
That's great, thanks.
One of the things that I've done,
Speak up too so our mic can get this.
one of the things that I've done is I actually put a document on my computer. It's my Good Morning document. And my Good Morning document is about maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 affirmations that I use a lot. And so I very consciously, you know, that's the first thing I look at is my document. And then I take, it only takes about maybe 60 to 90 seconds to visualize my day, just like, you know, you've heard of the sports teams where you visualize the game before you play it.
Yeah.
And then what happens is it's very familiar to you because you've been there already. And so, you know, visualize the day and maybe see the new numbers at the end of the day. But we always have to take ourselves beyond work. So it's sort of like you visualize through the day to when you go home and enjoy and relax.
Absolutely, that's a great idea for all of us.
Visualizing seeing high school.
Yeah, well, visualize going through your day. Like, you know, you do whatever you do, you're picking up the phone, and you're doing it very fast, but you're trying to feel it in the way you want it.
Yeah,
You
sort
know?
of like formatting it.
Right, exactly. So you're like impressing it, and it's sort of like practicing it, you know, before you get there. But it's a real. There's a lot of I guess information in terms of how well this works.
I think practicing, like Maggie is saying, is what Toastmaster, I don't know if any of you have ever taken their course or whatever, but that's what they say. Go through whatever, if you're going to do a presentation or anything, go through it. You don't, you know, just so you know how you're going to appear, how you're going to respond, and how you're going to be.
Yeah, but you also say feel it the way you want it.
Feel it. You have to feel that.
And you know, you pretend to feel your hands doing things in your head, and you know, get into it as much. I used to counsel a tennis team, and
Sports
yes, and very much what they would do mentally is they would play the game, you know, all the way through to the win, the way they wanted to see it, and then their subconscious mind opened that door, and it was a lot, you know, easier to.
So you say a conscious mind opens up the door. It sounds like really
Your subconscious,
crazy.
yeah, because you're programming your subconscious mind when you visualize.
Yeah, no, conscious mind opens the door to what?
For the information, for your calmness, for your, you won't be thinking about, oh my goodness, I've taken 40 minutes on this call, or, you know, it'll be smooth. You'll get through the material, you'll get through the material a lot easier and without less stress and a lot faster.
Yeah, are you making a relationship between conscious mind and subconscious?
Yeah.
Oh, what's
Well, the subconscious mind, see, when your subconscious mind is what's going to direct you and, you know, like, keep you sort of on track, okay? And so that's why you want to consciously feel it, so you're imprinting. And then what that opens up is for the conscious mind to act it out.
Exactly. You can talk later with her, Jeff, if you'd like, after everyone. Okay, we're ready for the next person. Come on. You're spiritual beings. You wouldn't be here unless you are, you know? So, someone share thoughts, an event or something that brought them here, or why they're here, or an insight that, yes, great, thank you. You want to come up here? I'd like you to come up here. You want to come up here? Great.
It's pretty short. By the
That's
time I
okay.
get up there and come back, I'd be off the phone.
That's all right.
So it's just something I'll share with you on a book I'm reading by Rick Hansen. Actually, there's 2 books I'm reading with him. One is, if you know what it is, let me know, because I'm terrible at remembering titles, but I think it's Buddha's Brain. And the other book he wrote is Just One More Thing. And what he wrote primarily about a lot in the book that I didn't realize, but after I thought about it, is that we live in a very and I'm not a negative person, but a very negative world, have for the last million years. And he says it's in our DNA. And that's how it attaches, and we attach to it like Velcro to negative type stuff. And I was very surprised to read that. But he brought it upon, because usually whenever I hear somebody start talking like that, I'm walking the other way, I don't want to hear it.
Good for you.
So fortunately, I thought, well, I want to read this, and I thought, you know, he's absolutely right. When I look at the news and people in general, they're just walking around with heavy hearts, heavy minds. And so he said, then he started talking about remembering good things, and that we could change, that we can reverse that, and that the good things is more like Teflon. When we witness good things throughout the day, they just kind of slide off. And the last thing I remember reading this morning in the sentence says, like at the end of the day, what do you remember? The one or two bad things and then you let the chatter go on in your mind? Or how many good things slip by? Or do you review the good things? And I thought, yeah, that's pretty much, you know, I let the chattering going on in my brain about the guy who stole my parking spot or whatever have you. And so then I had my own idea. I thought, you know, actually it was the day before yesterday that I started reading it, and it started to sink in, that I started opening my eyes to good things. And then this morning my thought was, I'm going to carry a little notebook around to journal that when something nice happens, just to write it down. And although I haven't started it today, I have noticed now for my second day that my mind tends to focus a lot more for looking for good things, nice things to happen. And actually, with that, it sets it into motion, picking up on nice things. So I was up north here that I stay in. They do elk hunting, and the guy he does the skinning over there. And I'm not usually talking to too many people, and I went over there to talk to them because I've never seen an elk skin or how they do it. And there was none there. And the gentleman, his name was Tom. I never remember anything. And he talked about 20 minutes, and I remember everything he told me. And he had such a good spirit, and it was just refreshing from a man to another man type thing. And just hearing him talk and speak, and I just felt a very nice calmness and recognized that. Then in Rick Hansen, he'll say, when you have a good thing like that there, capture it, sink it in for about 15, 20 seconds and stay with that. And I'm getting, just in 2 short days, some really great results in that. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Oh, that's good. Any questions for him? Any questions? Again, name the title of the book and the author.
Buddha Brain.
They were both by Rick Hansen, and one was just, I think
Buddha
it was
Brain, yeah.
Buddha Brain, yes. And Just One More Thing.
Just one more thing.
And actually, Just One More Thing, he has 52 of them. So, and you could pick it up at any part of the book. So it's not a book that you have to read from cover to cover. But you could, if we're in week number 48 now, you could go to chapter 48 and read about 48. And it's developing a Buddha brain, if you would. That may sound odd or awkward, but...
Are you Buddhist?
Pardon me?
Are you a Buddhist?
No, I'm not. I'm not, but of all the religions I've studied in the last 6 or 8 years, I've been on this path. I find Buddhism to be very appealing to me, very appealing to me. And he is a Buddhist, or became a Buddhist, and so a lot of his stuff complements Buddhism.
Sounds like.
Yeah.
Any questions for Leonardo? Yeah, Pam?
It sounds like you changed your focus.
Yeah, and it's
So
perspective.
this book has given you the ability to say, I'm going to pay more attention to the positive things and less to the negative. And you've opened yourself up so that you can be aware of it.
Very perceptive of you. Absolutely, it's a whole new thing. And what I realized in just the last few days is my thoughts are just my thoughts.
Right.
They're just a streamline of thoughts, and in 5 minutes, who knows what it's going to be. I don't even know what my next word is going to be in 2 seconds from now. And I've looked at my life, and I could primarily see it. He identified it very well as a life of Velcro, of negative things, of attachments. He said, she did, whatever have you. And so this is a very refreshing for me. But he warned me that it does take work.
Yes.
And I could see that. And so you've got to look for the good things. Like, that should be so terrible, right?
Yes.
To look for the good things. And so just be aware of them. And they're just easy gestures, people with smiles on their face as you open up the door.
Yes.
And they're grateful. Or the
I call
ones
it
that
having
are not
eyes.
walk right past you.
Right.
I tend to think now, poor person, where I used to pick a fight with them,
Right.
not physically, but I would think not good things, and now I think, I have no idea what's on that person's mind. And so I see a lot of goodness coming, so it's a different focus for me, for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
you definitely had a spiritual awakening through this book. Like I say, some things come, some people want it written on the wall, and some people want it through the channel that they want to receive it.
Sure.
But you were open. You weren't supposed to touch that book until whatever the day you bought that. I believe that was your day.
Uh-huh.
And now, I believe there's a shift going on. And stay up here. Our shift is we can receive new DNA. We can change our DNA. We can get from spirit new awareness, things that you're, like you said, you're thinking things that you never thought before. You would be ready to hit somebody if they, gave you the bird on the highway or cut you off, where now you're saying, wow, hope they slow down for their own good.
Yeah.
Or I wonder what their problem is. In a good way, not in a sarcastic way. Your whole perception is changed. And it'll continue to change as long as you allow it. What's happening is your spirit is blossoming and opening to this new awareness. And like you say, you have thousands of thoughts all day. We all do. But thoughts become things and we manifest them. So if they're all wonderful, wishing others goodwill, full of love, full of generosity, really focusing on what that man Tom said, you remembered his name even, because you valued him as an individual.
Absolutely.
Where maybe before you would have thought, oh, I don't have time for this, I got to get on my way.
Exactly.
And you would have cut him off.
Yeah.
Where now it's like a gift being given to you.
Yeah.
No matter what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So what your thoughts are, they're going to manifest. And it's like a ripple in the ocean. It'll reach places you will never ever think. You will lift up a person's life, or maybe their, a smile will just make their day.
Yeah.
I mean, when you walked through the door tonight, you were just glowing. Absolutely. And you were supposed to be here tonight. And I really believe that. Anyone else have a question for Leonardo about that book or anything else?
It was a fantastic
Yes, Rocky.
share.
Yeah, go ahead.
That was just a fantastic share. I really liked it.
Yeah. Very excellent. Rocky.
Yeah, it's real interesting to listen to you and see like what kind of radiates out of you. And you're kind of living that Wayne Dyer thing, the change the way you look at things and the things you look at change.
He's a great author too, and he did a great job on the Tao Te Ching, his commentary. And thank you. Yeah, he's one of my favorite authors.
And
Thank
it's
you.
sort of like a contagion even too, that you spread what it is you're spreading out there, and you keep getting more of it back, and then it keeps on multiplying.
Absolutely. You never know, do you,
Yeah.
Rocky, where it's going to land.
Yeah.
Thank you for that confirmation. I often
Spreading a
wonder.
good healthy virus instead of an accident.
Thanks, it's good to have that
Oh.
confirmation because you don't know it yourself.
You
if
just
you're
know that you're
spreading
feeling
that.
something different.
Well, it's just like I said, I haven't been here for 2 years, but I distinctly remember 2 years ago the warmth that I felt from you in the
I'm
back
glad you
of the
came
room.
back. You were supposed to be
Yeah.
here tonight.
Yeah.
Just for this, if nothing, for
Yeah.
us. To give to us what you have to
And
give.
then we can affirm it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, and this is all good stuff
It
instead of
is.
talking about negative type things.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of,
There's enough negativity in the world that we don't need to bring negativity into our spiritual walk.
yeah, well, it's
you know?
hard for me to say that, I don't even want to go there. Thank you for the
No,
time.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Who else has something to share? Maybe somebody. Now listen, you knew when you came here tonight I was going to ask you. Good. John, come on up. Oh, it's just, you look great.
I've been sleeping all day.
Hey,
I work at night.
hey, we don't judge, remember? We just
I thought you were
compliment.
taking the studio
That's fine, to
portraits.
us. To me,
You look great.
You look
John.
fine.
It's my hair.
It's okay, you're
Perfect.
good here.
December 21st at 11:11. Who's been watching that? Who's got that on the calendar? That's something that I've been preoccupied with for
You mean no
years, like
No,
3 or
the
4
name,
years.
the calendar.
The mind thing.
Mine.
But it's just not them. I've read it, the Celestine Prophecy. Have you guys ever read those
Yes.
books? That's about the same time, and other things. There's a huge change, I believe, going to happen, and it's very exciting, and I can't believe it's like a couple months from now, you know.
Do you think it's going to be good?
But I don't know, because, I read everything, and a lot of people say, hey, it's just a change of an era, the age of Aquarius.
Is it the 21st?
Yes. How do you feel about it on the inside? How does it make you feel?
Well, I'm very excited about it, but also I'm afraid. I just got this feeling that if nothing happens, just like Y2K, nothing happened. If that day comes and nothing really, planets are supposed to align and everything, if nothing happens, I'm afraid it's going to take a serious blow out of me, because I've built up this
But maybe
anticipation.
it will happen and you won't recognize it right off. See,
Maybe
nothing
it'd be really
says,
slow.
yeah, nothing says it's going to be like that. It
It's
says
not
there's going to
extra,
be change.
extra, hear all about it.
Right, it's not going to be the end of the world. It's going to be the end of what we know as.
I'm hoping it's the end of all this negativity.
Wouldn't
I
that?
can't believe we're so close to World War III right now. You guys understand that?
That's
With
part of
Iran?
manifesting.
We are so close.
See,
There's
we
so
have-
much
we have
negativity,
to feel like
and somebody's
we're
going to
not
put the
so
brakes
close.
on that.
See, we have to change that perspective. Like,
That's part of the things
that we
changing.
aren't, that we can't, our thoughts and our words manifest. So if we put out there that we're at peace, we're really at peace all over, that's going to manifest. But where you have the mass consciousness of fear, it's fear-based. And
Strategy of tension,
yeah, we don't want to live that way anymore.
Yeah. So
That's
I'm
correct.
just curious
How does anyone else
anybody
feel about the
looking,
23rd?
have any,
Mary?
I have a comment, just because I've gone to an astrologer a couple times in the past few years, and they're always talking about cycles, and I had them say something, oh, well, this date, this starts your cycle, your new cycle, and I've been through a number of this dates before, and although the cycle does shift, and my life does shift around these cycles, every time I come to that date and I go, well, nothing happened on that day. Like, nothing special seemed to happen on that day. Like, I even went to go watch the meteor shower, which was supposed to be aligned with this day that was supposed to be special. One falling star. A big meteor shower, one falling star.
And more than I saw.
And see, that's what you saw, Mary. Mary, look at it this way. That's what you
That
saw.
star was just for you.
It was just for you.
It was your star.
Maybe someone saw a million.
Yeah.
Maybe someone else saw none.
Again, that I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't lose hope if that day comes and it's not exciting or whatever. Just watch how your gradual shift goes up to the day and after the day, and the shift you see around you. And if you're looking for the shift, you'll see it everywhere.
Yes, yes, good, Mary.
Yes. And I want to say something about that too. I've gotten so much to the point where I see, it's like KaRin always says, you have eyes to see. I noticed when I was away on my trip this year. When I'm here sometimes, I'll call KaRin up on the phone and say,
Did you see that thing on the news where those people were trapped in that car and all of a sudden the truck with all the right equipment just kind of shows right up and they have the people rescued and whatever? And we started sharing these events that we were seeing that were on the news and could be very bad, but they were actually like angels among us or spirits among us, just showing up at just the right time to really do a good thing. And I think the more of it you look for, the more you see. You affirm, every time you see it, you affirm it, and then you share it, and they affirm it, and you pass it along. I think that it is an opportunity to see a good thing happening, and you'll find you'll see it every day, that you can share with your friends, and they pass it, and it's just like a good string of love that goes between people. And when you start seeing it, you can't help but to see it. It just becomes present. So
start thinking the 21st
is like
this marvelous thing is going to happen.
I'm calling sick.
No, this marvelous will
Right.
good, because you're going to be celebrating. And that's the way I want you to view it from now on out. All of a sudden, as we get closer and closer, your fears are just going to drop away.
Right.
Because you know this great, exciting thing is going to happen to you that day.
and it's close to Christmas, so you know it's got to be
And you
good.
can manifest it.
One other thing, you were talking earlier about lucid dreaming.
Yes.
And have you ever described that to somebody and somebody would say to you, oh, that was just a dream. But you know that it was a lucid dream.
know
I had
it.
one of those, and it's a big difference than any
Yes.
other kind of dream I've ever had.
I don't remember my dreams when I wake up.
But that
unless-
was a nice, pleasant dream. I had
Yes.
one that was frightening,
Yeah.
scary, and I had two of them in a row, and it really shook me. And
Sometimes you need to then wake up and go to spirit and say,
What's this mean?
well, it
What's
was
this
kind
mean?
of puzzling what happened in there, and all this stuff, like 12 years ago or whatever, trying to figure it out, what it meant.
but right
I
now,
don't
you're
know.
fine. It's not, nothing negative has come
But I
of it.
mean, it was an experience that had
Oh,
a huge
yeah,
impact on
definitely.
me. And,
Lucid dreams are that way. They-
But I think for anybody that needed to have a, they were going in the wrong direction maybe,
Mhm.
or they weren't getting something, and then your higher self or
Yes.
whoever
Come.
gave you that to wake you up, and,
To let you have eyes to
but
see.
yeah, anybody have anything like that before?
Yeah,
I've
Mary-
told a few people, and they go, that was just a dream, No, I'm telling you, it was different. It was.
Yeah, no, lucid dreams
I
are
see
very much a
angels,
spirit.
and
Yeah, they're very much a spirit.
I'm totally convinced it wasn't just a normal dream.
No, you're right.
But at the time, something happened where it gave me the idea I was going to die in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Something, in there. So when that 2 year came up, I was really afraid, and then I didn't die.
Well, of course, because you can change.
So there's
You know,
something
we
about
have a
2
choice.
years.
We have choice in that. We can change anything that is fixed there. We can change that. We don't have to accept it. We have free
Well,
will.
maybe, yeah, since I've changed positive. I used to
Yeah.
be a real negative person.
Well, yeah, and that affects
Victim
you.
type mentality and stuff like that. And
Well, remember what Leonardo said. Negativity is like Velcro, right? Try to get it off of you. But
I have.
Teflon,
I've got it eliminated
people
all but
like
two
that.
people in my life.
okay, well, Teflon, you just flow right off of it. So, thanks for sharing. We thank you.
But I
Great.
have something else to say
Yes.
to him. I think what Leonardo said before, maybe this book, Just One More Thing,
It's something
is
that you
something
could
that
read.
you need to get now to help you to get ready for this December 21st.
I mean, I read a lot. I'm always at the spiritual bookstores.
Yeah.
Well, get that one.
I believe something's
I don't
going to
think I've read
happen
that
on the
one.
21st, but I don't think it's going to be bad.
I have no idea what.
My brother thinks it's going to be bad, and I don't think it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be different. Something's going to happen.
As a spiritual being, we know that Spirit's in charge and nothing is going to be negative, even if it appears negative, even if it appears devastating. To us, it's going to be a positive. Mary had her hand up before Dale, because I want Mary, you want to come up and share that dream you were going to Share your lucid dream.
See, Gwen, I could resist, you know? So I've had some lucid dreams, but the one that was, and I don't always know what they're lucid, they're not super cool like that one or anything. But I had a recent dream that was really scary, and I'm not sure if it was lucid or not, but I took it and I analyzed it, and it kind of reminded me, oh yeah, the story ties both of those together, because one of the symbols in the dream I analyzed to be, okay, well, why does this person, this character, do this? Well, they're addicted to suffering. And then why would anyone be addicted to suffering? And it was because they're addicted to self-loathing. So anyway, so that's just in my dream journal. You know, nice, there it goes on the shelf. Walk out the door. I went to a conference and I ran into this reverend or whatever, and she basically did she said, your grandmother is here, the stern one. She's giving me a stern look. Your grandmother's here. And I said, I know which one that one was. But she wants you to let go of something and blah, blah, blah. We get, long story, slightly shorter. We get to the point where I share the symbol, the addicted to suffering, addicted to self-loathing thing. And she says, yeah, that's what your grandma wanted you to share with me. And she did this prayer over me where she took it and she said, okay, well, let's remove this and replace it with something. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. And she's like, well, what should we replace it with? Self-acceptance. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm okay with self-acceptance, but I kind of accept myself. Self-acceptance is not a big deal. And then, so I was like, sure, self-love, sure, compassion, sure. I was just saying, sure, none of these were like really resonating with me. I just was giving her the power. And then eventually she came around to, I get that I'm not supposed to change the wording. I get I'm supposed to keep addicted to self-love. Addicted, but not to self-loathing, but to self-love. And so she did this prayer over me where she pulled out the self-loathing from my DNA, from my cells, from my astral records, and my ancestors and my past lives or whatever. She had a lot of things that she could pull it out of and replace it with, and she had a whole thing about that. I don't know, but it was really cool. And just to think about thinking about addicting to suffering being something that we wouldn't be okay feeling good enough about ourselves. So once we started to feel good about ourselves, we'd find a way to not feel good about ourselves again. Because I was starting to feel good about myself, so I better go do something that makes me feel not good about myself again. Whereas self-love's not about arrogance, it's about if I love myself, then I want everyone around me to be happy because I know that when they're happy, then I'm happy. So it's like a pay it forward that just makes you feel good. So to me that kind of tied how a really bad dream I had gave me a symbol that as I just analyzed the symbol, I carried it forward going, I don't know what this symbol's for, or what it's supposed to help me with. But I did a little bit of analysis, and then I stumbled into the lady who was able to do something with that analysis. And she changed my DNA. So.
And she's changed your life, whether you know it or not. You listening to that now. Because you be with just the light of spirit all around you. And I don't see any negative words. And everything she told you, I heard of, and it's true. So very much. So that prayer was really well done. And you didn't just stumble into her.
No.
And going into that, I'll let Mary sit down if she's finished, and I want Lori to come up. Because Lori, I want you to share about the train.
Oh, Jean. Will you help me?
Yeah, go ahead. It's a philosophy that both of us have for the belief system.
Yeah. It's a philosophy that,
Just share how it changed your life about the, you know, starting with the contract and just that part. Well, it's an awakening.
it
And I
was.
think people need
It was.
some
It was an
experience.
awakening. Sort of, actually, in a way, it sort of falls into what she was talking about how sometimes your life seems to be just racing ahead and you're sort of out of control. You don't feel like you have any control. Bad things are happening or circumstances seem to fall in front of you. And you think you're being, you know, a positive person and you're sort of dealing with things in a constructive way. And it's just not working out. And when I was living in Hawaii, I had started having a lot of spiritual awakening several years before that. It's been a very gradual process for me. And when I was in Hawaii, I got very close to nature there, and nature seems to really open me up. I feel very close to that when I'm in that experience. And the connection with me thinking about these random things that happened. And I had a girlfriend at the time over there who was a very spiritual lady. She was a jazz singer and a teacher too, but she just had this flowing spirit about her. And I used to walk a lot on the beach and stuff, and she lived close to me, and I'd go by her house after the walk, and I'd say, you know, I keep running into this same person all the time. And she'd just smile, and she'd go, do you think that that's just random? And I said, do you think they're like stalking me or something? And she says, no, but she says, just think about that. She said, what, are they smiling at you? What, you know, I don't know, I feel kind of ooky about that, you know. And so she said, well, just think about it. She says, if somebody keeps showing up, then maybe you need to put a little bit of attention to that. All right, not negative attention, but just give it some attention. And that was kind of a whole awakening that opened up a whole nother thing that eventually took me to this thing about people, events, stepping away from your normal flow because you feel like this is the thing to do and trusting it. So all of this stuff started tumbling together, and then it flowed into this fact of the journey. And then the journey became the tracks or the trail. And then on the trail is the train. And the train starts at one point and goes to wherever, all right? You don't necessarily know where you're going. The destination is not the purpose, it's the journey. And this train encompasses sort of your universe that you make for yourself, and there's different compartments in it. And you're riding on the train, and people show up. Sometimes they're in the caboose, and you can see them back there. Sometimes they're up in your car, and they're sitting right next to you. And they have a piece of advice for you, and so the journey, how am I doing with this?
Yeah.
You know, the journey is all about this train, and there'll be people in your life that'll come in for today, or for 2 weeks, or for 2 years. And then they'll get off, and you may not see them again for a long time.
Just like a job.
Right, or you'll have a thought all of a sudden, you know, I haven't talked to Lynn for a while or whatever, and the next day you get a postcard in the mail. And to me, it's just defined in my philosophy about life, that I think that we're all here with meaning and purpose. We're spiritual beings in a human body. And the train also represents part of a memory, perhaps of another time, where we can trust in that and know that that person sitting next to us is safe, and they're there to help you and to help to guide you for a while. So, you know, it can go on and on and on, and I don't want to go on and on and on. But the awakening itself started with something like what Leonardo said, okay, where this person that he was talking to is a total stranger, had a complete message. And he opened up his heart to it. He had ears to hear, eyes to see. His spirit remembered this because it was like a nugget. And I think that when you start opening up your eyes in that positive sort of way, people start showing up for you like you wouldn't believe. And that's kind of the way I feel about that.
Thank you, Lori.
Thanks, Lori.
That was
Good.
very, yeah, it's
I liked
like, it's like Lori said, you know, some get on the train and some get off the train. When marriages end, when people pass away, when there's a new birth, when a relationship is over, when a job is over, when you lose this in life or that. You have, if you can look at it like it's just all evolving. It's just new people are going to come. My son had passed away very tragically, and I was in Safeway at 11:30 at night getting tape and boxes. And I was rather sad, of course. And his name was Danny, and the music that was playing with only me in the store was Daniel by Elton John. And it was one, I didn't take it as a negative, it was just soothing to my soul. I felt that Danny was right there with me saying, Mom, it's okay. And I went up to the checkout, like Lori said, and what you said about a person coming. This person had no idea that what a huge influence and how it was going to ripple in my life for eternity. But I went to this checkout. I'd never seen the gentleman in there before, and that was my neighborhood store. And I said, so, how are you? How was your day? Because it was 11:30 at night. And I knew he was probably tired, but I was in myself, and it was just something I usually say. It was, you know, how are you? And he looked at me with this big smile, and he said, my day is exactly the way it's supposed to be. And it was like I wanted to sing hallelujahs and jump around because it meant so much to me that he was used by Spirit, by Divine, to share some, just, you know, he'll never know. I went back later, he didn't even work there, he'll never know. He will never know the impact he had. Because we don't know, like you said, we don't know what kind of day someone's having. So, someone else has something to add here. Dale, you got something to share? You want to come up?
Believe it or not, this is going to be kind of hit and miss.
You bring up all these things.
You have to talk up now. Can't
Oh,
hear you.
shucks. Okay. See if I remember. Number one, I would say, if you can abolish from your vocabulary, I hope, or I think, and start knowing. You know, we keep throwing around these things. I hope the world's going to do this, and there will be people. Come on. The universe doesn't understand. As Master Yoda put it, there is no maybe. You're either going to do it, you're not going to do it, but get on with it and stop arguing about it. And for myself, for me, okay, I'm not laying this trip on you, but I tend, at this time in my life, to never ask why this is coming my way, because I know inherently when I need that knowledge, it will be there. It's just giving me a glimpse at this coming into my life. But the knowledge I need to deal with that situation will be there when I need it. So don't, you know, you're saying, well, I'm seeing this and and I'm analyzing it. Forget it. Accept the fact that when you need to understand and use that knowledge, guess what? It'll be there. You'll remember. Remember always, she knows what I'm going to say. Remember always, you are divine beings. Everything you could possibly imagine you would ever need or use in this lifetime pre-existed you. It had to pre-exist you, or you couldn't be here. It was all laid out before you. It's all yours. So, you know, you talk about, oh, don't watch the news because it's negative. Huh? It wasn't that long that the news, which I watch religiously, but I watch it. I use it as an instrument that gives me knowledge I can use. And one of the things that came up was they ran another survey of the kids in college now. And the survey before was, what do you want out of life? Money. But it changed. The last survey that they did, the last survey, all of them wanted to change the world in which they live. You don't think the world is changing? You don't think we're rising in consciousness with every breath? Like the man said, don't worry about what you write. Don't worry about what you say. What you are and what you do with that knowledge outweighs anything you could write or say. So be what you are. Always be there. Look at the world through those eyes. You are a divine being. You're a gift given freely to humanity. It's about time you started giving. Because, you know, the old rule, the more you give, the more that comes back to you. But you have to make the first step. First, you have to give. The universe is sitting around waiting for you. I just figured out something. I remember very, very young, because she said we got to tell our life story more or less. I don't remember how old I was, but I was very young. I was walking down the street, and gigantic trees with the limbs over your head. And I looked up and I said, will I always be alone? Isn't there somebody in the universe that will love me? The interesting part in thinking about that thought was that was the wrong way to ask the question, because the universe gave you exactly what you said you wanted. That you liked being alone and you liked no one in your life. So the moral of the story is, be careful what you ask for and be very succinct about what it is you ask for, and be prepared to live with the consequences of what you ask for, because the universe doesn't understand. It only works in absolutes. And what you declare in the law is what the universe has no doubt about. It only knows one word. Yes, it will give you exactly what you ask for. So for me at least, I learned I need to start thinking about what it is I actually want and putting that into the universe so the universe can manifest it. It can only give you what you ask for. And if you don't ask, it's powerless. But it has all the universe to work with. All the energy that you could ever imagine, you could ever use, already exists, and it's yours to use. Because you are the instrument through which the universe manifests in the world. It has no power to come down and beat it over your head. It only has you to work through. You are the instrument through which the universe works. Get on with being what you are and manifesting to humanity the beauty that you are. And you guys are so beautiful.
Thank you. I know that someone else came tonight with something to share.
I'll share something.
Absolutely. Come on, Scott.
Okay. My name is Scott from Phoenix, of course. I just mentioned that. But I moved here in '98. And I'm going to kind of do a two-part here. My love was always music, but I'd never been able to do it. I was a semi-pro sports person. So music was really something just to not even work on, but just like hold a guitar or just do something and then go to sleep or something and train. So I never did it. So, what happened was in '95, I met a few people that turned me on to radio shows and metaphysics and just different stuff like that. So inside me, I've always been a detective and a scientist because I want to prove that what exists, and a detective is getting the evidence. Yes. So I've watched the shows on TV, and I was always interested in that kind of stuff. So, so I set out on this journey. So I started in another state, and when I moved here, I said, this is a really different state here, because when I looked at the sky, I could see like this energy in the sky here. And when you live in the Midwest or the East Coast, it's clouds, rains, thunder, and all these kinds of things. So you really don't notice it. It's got a lot of trees overhead, and you don't see the sky. So I noticed there was something about this city that I moved to. So, so the music was not a part of my life at all, but I carried around a guitar and a harmonica for like half my life, but I just carried it around for no reason. Just,
There was a reason.
I lived overseas, international, and transporting my guitar with socks, the strings loosened, and socks and underwear and a guitar, and I don't know why, but just carrying a harmonica and a guitar, and I didn't even play. Like strange, but I would just kind of pluck it, and but carrying this thing around the world. Yeah. So so I'm here in this state, and I had a spiritual. Now the second part is. This is where I got into reading. I had a child, so I was able to read, and I knew some older people. I love old people because they have a wealth of knowledge and books that you can't even find in the bookstores. In the metaphysical bookstores, you can't find these books. In the libraries, nowhere. But some people you run into is they have these libraries that are stockpiled from the 30s onward. So I was able to go and start reading and reading and reading, and I would bring my kid to the park, and I would read. I would have 6, 7 books, and I read over 300 books in 1 year. So I was there to get the knowledge. So these are all different sorts of books, from A to Z, and I think. The reason being is because when you have this wealth of reading knowledge, it gives you power.
Yes.
Now for me, it's like, okay, how are you going to focus that power into something good? Or because these books motivate you, and then you see this spiritual things are happening when you're reading. Like you turn the book, and oh, that's just what I was going to read. All that deja vu, and so you're just even doing it. You're going like,
Yeah.
Who can I tell? Who can I tell? So it builds, this energy builds in you, and you're going, does anybody else have this power? Where do I go to see these people? Or who do I go to? And, so you go to these groups, and you just keep listening, and you keep acquiring all this knowledge. So I think my spiritual awakening is I dove in a swimming pool, and I came out of that pool, and something happened. And it was kind of like being baptized. In the Bible they talk about, people are baptized in the water and stuff like that. And you come out of the water. Well, mine wasn't kind of like with a preacher or a Bible. It was like by myself. And I had a camera, as a detective. So I always had a camera, binoculars, and things like that. Because I used to be no, not the guitar. That was, but you know, to take photographs and these sorts of things too, as evidence. Because you know, if I ever did a slideshow or if I did whatever, I'd have evidence of things. So, but I came out of that pool, and I'm going to kind of use the biblical terminology. Is I was kind of what they call slayed in the spirit. The spirit with fire was in me, and I came out and I sat down on the patio in the pool, and this was a condo complex. Nobody was there, and I felt I could manifest spirit and thought, because what I read is. I read like, hey, they did it. Why can't we do it?
That's right.
You know, these sages and this person and Buddha and, you know, all these people that you read, if they can do it, you can do it. Right. What's a big deal here? Right. So so what was really funny is I focused in the sky what I wanted to see, like and it was amazing, because I knew from experience is what happens that's going on. You don't want to snap out of this like a runner's high. You don't want to snap out of it. You just want to be in it and let it manifest. So I was taking these pictures without, you know, like waking up, you know, kind of a thing. You just do it because you know you're in this high. And you're in this realm that you're there for a purpose, but you don't want to break the energy. So I'm taking these pictures of these clouds that are actually manifesting in my head. I'm directing these clouds to manifest. Like, okay, I want one here, one here, one here, and one here, like a square. And you know, one here, they appear. These clouds appear, and then like a triangle, and then. I say, then at that moment, I'm focusing with intent, and I say, I want to see the face of Jesus. You know, because everybody kind of wants, I mean, I was always intrigued about the biblical angle, because even in New Age books and all these books, they have this common thread about Jesus being in it. So I see these clouds, and it's a swirl. It's moving in the sky, the swirl. And that's this right here. Mm-hmm. You know? Because I'm conversing, you know, with this thought I'm projecting. So, you know, I focus on and I say, you know, I want to see the face of Jesus. Well, all these clouds go to, and it's moving. And I even take a picture of that. I'm just going like this, not even looking, because you're just focused. You know, this is just a, you know, it's just an instrument. You're just, you know, you're not going, you know, right. You know, you're just going. So this swirl, like, you know, and then all of a sudden it comes down, and then there's a cross. You know, I take a picture. And, you know, I take several pictures, and, well, it appeared as a cross. I didn't even see it as a cross. You know, it just, you know, I'm just taking those pictures at that moment. Just kind of this whole segment occurred within, let's just say, 30 seconds on time. So, anyways, I came out of it. You know, you're kind of like, okay. So it stopped and stuff, and then I took another picture at the end and stuff. So I went and developed a film. Well, and I blew the pictures up. So what was interesting about these photographs, I used to put them up on the table and kind of look at these things in a different way, like, you know, what I did, what it was about. And come to find out there's something in the cross that I looked at, and I could never understand what was in the middle. There was some blob in there in the middle, and it took me 2 years to really find out. And it was a picture of a lamb coming out of the cross. And the three-dimensional. You know, you look at it, you know, it's like, and it's not like you're kind of making up something. You know, you can look at clouds and stuff, and, you know, they look like every animal, whatever it is. But anyways, having said that, I am not a Bible Christianity. I hate to use I had a teacher from India that's got 7 underground Christian churches in India, because their primary religion is Hinduism over there, and they frown upon Christianity. So you have to do a semi-underground Christianity church groups that meet in houses. And he's up in the northern part of India, up by like Charlene or somewhere up there. So this guy came to this state, and I got hooked up with this guy to teach me the Bible. I didn't know nothing about the Bible. So taught me a lot of different things, but I had that other information. And I took what he had. And then I noticed that okay, the connection here on everything I'd learned, that Spirit's in us, and this whole realm that we deal with, you know, the trick of it is not to be a part of this world. Like, I mean, the Bible has all these phrases that people will bring out, like eyes to hear, you know, eyes to see, ears to hear, that kind of stuff. All these phrases, they mean nothing to anybody that's just reading it. You know, I mean, they don't get it. You know, once you start like exercising yourself in it and manifesting good thoughts, and you know, you're praying before you go to work, and you know, and yes, there is evil out there. Believe me, I work for the Army in this state here, and I was meant to go there because it's a lot of unbelief, it's a lot of evil, it's a lot of manipulation, you know, against people. And it's kind of like, but the other part of my makeup is justice. And where I work, I've worked at several state agencies here. I work for the state of Arizona, and I brought justice to a lot of these agencies and departments of people. And believe me, it's not fun. You get fired, you get set up, you know, you go through the ringer. But every time you get fired or something bad happens, so you pick yourself up, and guess what? You know, it's you know, you go into another learning process, but each time you get stronger and stronger and stronger. Then you start sharing your knowledge to people, and then you start getting this feedback from people like, oh yeah, I believe that, and, you know, and it's really, I think we're made to learn that we are spiritual creatures, that we have a potential that we have no idea. We have such a super potential. That's what's going on. But we're here to teach others that aren't. And that is the game. That is the game. There is, and I tell you, what's happening, there is a shift going on. I've read so much different things, but there's I don't know what the percentage is, and I'm not too keen on percent, nor do I care, but there's a lot of immatureness on spiritualness, and the churches don't teach it. They have a false Christian, there's a counterfeit Christianity, there's a counterfeit Buddhism, there's a counterfeit, all this stuff is counterfeit. It's fake. It really is. In you, you have the truth in you. That's the thing. And because anybody you can start all these religions and make, guess what? Money, control, and that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. TV, all these people, and my whole family is very spiritual, but they're all in different religions and so forth. But I don't classify myself as a Christian. People say, but then they label you. They label you like, oh, you're one of those, you hate Muslims. I have friends that are Muslim, and I try to tell this guy, the truth. And the Spirit of God brings you to this truth where you try to teach people. And, you know, but anyways, getting back to music. So what happened is, but that's what's a spiritual awakening. And then all of a sudden, with being taught music, you know, all this spiritual awakening brought me into something I really loved to do, and that was music. I got injured in sports. I got a hip transplant. I couldn't do sports anymore. So guess what? I started writing and playing, and it was there.
And it
was always there. And so so it's like I was writing 3 songs in one day. I mean, I have 9 CDs now. Over 9 CDs. And just, you know, I play everything. I play everything.
Well, that's because the Spirit anointed you.
Well, right. But it taught me how to play. You know,
that's what I'm saying.
It's very repetitious. You have to learn a lot of different chord structures, notes, and this sort of thing. But that's exciting. And it is great because it's always something I want to do. And guess what? That harmonica that I bought when I was 14 years old, I even recorded it on a CD. Can you imagine? I mean, 1971 to 2003. Can you imagine how many years went by to have a harmonica in your toy box, you know, or in your pocket, you know, to walk around with, to have for that many years? But you look back on that. You look back on what was really wanting. You know, what are you predestined? Who was the guy who was talking about the predestined thing? Was it somebody was talking about? Yeah, exactly. He's right on. This stuff is like almost preordained. It's there. You know, it was there. You know, and you were meant to do this. You know, it's just like. It's the door opens. It's kind of like that, you know, there's a season for everything. You know, it's like that bird song, you know, and the Bible has a phrase in there. Season, you know, there's a season for a war, season, you know, all this kind of thing. And there is a time. And you get pushed into it. When that door opens, man, go through it because, you know. So that's my little story. Thanks for listening.
Wow, we've heard some really good things tonight. Bless you. Does anyone else have anything? Maggie, Pam, Gwen, Spencer?
I could share something.
Great.
How much time do we got left?
Come on, we've got plenty
We'll
of
make
time.
time for you.
Oh, that's special.
You are.
All right, so this isn't too long of a story, but it's just something about letting go and just trusting that everything will happen in time. For the past 6 months, I've been saying, hey, I'm going to sell my car. I'm going to sell it, I'm going to list it, and then I was like, oh, I don't want to do it. I got to put it on Craigslist, I got to get with people, got to make phone calls. I was like, all right. So I finally went on vacation and I did it. And within like 15 minutes of listing my car, I got like 15 phone calls. I was like, oh, hey, I'm going to sell this car fast. It's going to happen. So I meet up with like 3 or 4 different people. One guy flaked out on me, and then the rest wanted to, you know, lowball me on a couple other things. And then I was like, all right, you know what? Maybe I'm going to just chill out on this. And I ended up going to a barbecue and just hanging out with my friends and whatnot. And a guy just showed up and he's like, hey, that's a nice car, I wanted to see. I was like, well, that's a nice car you got over there, why don't we trade?
Yeah. Oh.
So, you know, I was like, all right, well, let me get your number. So we're texting back and forth, you know, and he finally texted me, he's like, are you serious about this? I was like, yeah, let me meet up with you and we'll talk shop and we'll do it. And this was the perfect car for me. It had 4 doors, I got a 2-seater, so it wasn't that feasible. Had less miles, it was a nicer car, perfect upgrade, and it happened over a Sunday. We met up, we went down to a third-party DMV, and it happened like that.
Oh,
so, you know, when I felt in my gut, you know, I wasn't ready to do it, I needed to start trusting myself.
Yes.
Because, you know, you think of it, you're like, oh man, I gotta force myself to do it. That's the completely wrong time to do it. So, you know, that was a big lesson for me, you know, just to, you know, if it's not time, don't do it. And it all worked out.
Thank
so,
you.
I knew that.
Who
wants to go for a ride?
Good man.
We have a lady that came in when we all started, and your name is?
Jerry.
Jerry, yes, I remember you now. Welcome, I'm so glad you came.
Thank you.
Do we hope you come back, Jerry.
I will.
I've known Jerry for 5 years about, yeah, and I haven't seen you. See, again, you got off my train. And now you're back on my train.
I fell off the train.
No, you didn't fall. You were supposed to go.
She was back in the caboose for a while.
Yeah, I was in the caboose. Rocky, you have anything you want to share?
Come on,
We always
Rocky.
have time. Come on, Rocky. Come on up.
I don't know, I don't want to share.
No, I don't want
I was looking at what to share. So I'm like,
It's okay.
Anyone else? Pam?
I came in saying that I fretted all week because I was supposed to share and I had nothing to share. However, can I speak from here?
Yes, sure.
In hearing your story, things happen for a reason when they're supposed to happen. I knew I was going to New England on the 26th of September, and I just couldn't get to make the reservations. I checked the airlines, came up with almost $500, and I'm like, oh, God, I don't really want to spend that, but I'm going, I got to do it. I just couldn't. My brother would call and say, when are you going to make these reservations? And I say, sometime.
Soon.
It's going to. And I'm thinking about all the reasons why this is not happening. And then I'd stop thinking about it, and then I'd start thinking about it again. Finally, one day, my friend said, you've been thinking about this and talking about this for too long. I'm going to get on the computer and find you tickets. So she texted me, and we started going back and forth, and I said, well, let me check Southwest one more time. Well, that was the day that the one-way trip from Phoenix to New Hampshire was $125.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I have to go to Burbank and then get off in Denver.
That's okay. Well, maybe you're supposed to stop
Yeah.
at Burbank and get off in Denver because somebody
Exactly.
needs to see your smile.
Exactly. Thank you for that, because I will smile when I get off in Denver.
And your spirit is needed, see? But look at the savings Spirit let you have.
Yeah.
I'll pass it off to somebody else.
Yes, you will.
It'll go out to someone else in a different
And that's
way.
that paying it forward,
Right.
you know? What about you, Gwen? You're the only one in here. Come on, we need to hear from you.
My sharing is always weird.
It's weird?
Always.
Who
Well,
said?
that's not for
Who
us.
said it was weird?
You can either stay there or come up here, but you gotta speak loud, because they can't hear you behind with your back to them. Yeah, come on.
You're so bossy.
And then we'll have meditation. I boss her a lot. She
Oh,
thinks.
wow. And because of that, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Uh-oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I will try to make it as short and as sweet as possible. When I was very young, I had an experience happen to me where I had heard a name and I said that name out loud, and the next morning I was visited by someone. The only thing that was a saving grace for me, that I was not going crazy, is that my parents saw it too. My foster parents. I grew up in a foster home. You ask them to this day, my dad says absolutely. My mom says it's from the devil. So that's what I grew up believing, that what I saw was bad. Really quickly, it was just a beautiful woman dressed in white, floating up the stairs. She turned and she looked at me, and you know, as a 5-year-old child, that will freak anyone out when you see someone you don't recognize. This particular story I've buried for years. And then about a week before my birthday, I just, out of the blue, I had lunch with a person and decided to bring this up, and she was just so fascinated, and I started describing this woman, and she said, oh, well, it's this particular person. I'd never thought about it, didn't put any weight into it, moved on. So I thought, hey, I'm on a roll. Let's see who else I can throw this story out to. So then I threw it out to my boyfriend, who is, you know, you see it, fine. Spirits, that kind of thing. He'll listen to me, but, you know, he believed everything I said, which made me feel good, because if I can get him to believe me, then I'm doing something right. All right, so fast forward a couple more days, and I go have lunch with KaRin. And it was my birthday, and I wasn't going to tell her, because it's a pretty crazy story, and I've shortened it for you guys, because I know you want to get to the meditation. But just out of the blue, I just told her the story, and she zoned out on me. And me being selfish, all about me, it's my birthday, I just keep yakking, and she zoned out. And she looks at me and she says, well, what was the name again? So I told her the name, and her face just changed completely. And I don't know if I can explain it as properly as you can, so I don't know if you want me to try.
Go ahead, you heard it. I was speaking right from spirit,
So, and KaRin had spoke earlier about her getting divorced and moving into an apartment, and then she had since gotten remarried, and her husband wasn't quite as supportive as her in her spiritual beliefs. So she would go to her closet and get messages from God, and in one of these messages, he relayed to her a past experience, a past life, and in that past experience was that name. The same exact way that I had spelled it, the same pronunciation. And she had even managed to dig up her journals to show me this. I say all of this to kind of go back to being in a foster home. Most people don't feel like they belong or like they're loved. I was pretty fortunate. I had pretty decent parents, but I was really close to my dad, but my mom, she's great, but it just wasn't something that clicked. The moment I met KaRin, we clicked, just automatically years and years ago, and I could never quite figure out why. My spiritual awakening came in that moment when she was explaining things to me from that name that I knew as a kid that she had no idea. I had no idea she'd know. She had no idea I'd know. And it came to me in that moment that while she's not my birth mother and she didn't raise me, she was a close part to me to fulfill that motherly love that I had always deep down thought I had wanted but never really acknowledged. So you're very welcome. So I'm done, so we can get to the meditation. Thank you, everybody.
Let me just share that when that passage was given to me, it called me by a certain name and said, this is your name. And it said that, you know, and my question back to Spirit was, what do I need to know about this name? And Spirit responded that time, which was, 20 years ago, you will know when to reveal the rest of this message. Exactly what Dale said. I've got truth bumps. When this person that I put in front of you reveals this name to you. So I just kept it tucked away, buried, because that was then, and I live in the now. But when Gwen started speaking that day, if you think I'm white, I turned chalk white. Because it was like I had all of this going on, like, this is it. And we were both trying not to be emotional. I mean, we were in a public place, and it brought tears and joy. Because I was able to assure her that her gifts are not of the negative, but of spirit. That her being is of love and spirit. That it wasn't evil, that she brought evil into her foster parents' home. And that this image was to show her love that she saw that night. So it was, I didn't know you were going to share that, but it just shows me how with Spirit, the same as with, you talked about Jesus, the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. There is no dividing time. We don't live in time and space, but in the human form.
In spirit, it's all now. And like Dale said, it's put out there, and when we're ready, it's right there. It's already done. It's all done. It's all done for us. So thank you all so much. It's been a blessing to me. I hope it's all been a blessing to you tonight, to hear everyone share and everyone speak. We'll have Spiritual Awakenings next month on the 28th. And I have a surprise speaker for you that you're going to be really intrigued with. It's harnessing all the energy, the natural energy, and how we can use that for power in our everyday living. And she's very focused. She studied with scientists, like the scientist part, and investigative work. And I met with her last night, and she's very spiritual, and she's ordained. It's going to be a beautiful time. So watch for it on the website, and it's the 28th. So now that we have all this great stuff going around in our head, let's just take a minute and just have a short meditation. And I'm sorry some left, but again, those that are here were supposed to be. And those that weren't, well, they're where they're supposed to be. And that's what makes it so great. All right, just get comfortable. Then close your eyes and kind of, let's just take a couple deep breaths. Breathe in through your nose, count to 6, and breathe out through your mouth. Again, breathe in that life and breathe out. One more time, 3 is a good number. And breathe out. Listen to the sound. Spirit comes to us in sound and in color. And with your eyes shut, you may see with your third eye color. You can hear the tones of the crystal bowls, which represent each one of our chakras. And the monks are singing the A, E, I, O, U's, which are the vowels that bring in the tone and the vibration into our bodies. Let's take another deep breath in. Feel that energy coming towards you, surrounding you in the light. Bring it down from your crown chakra all the way down to your feet. Oh, another breath. And just rest in your spirit within. Now we're going to take a little walk. So join me as we start walking. We can hear the sound of angels all around us singing, playing the instruments of nature. We're going to pick a tree to sit under. Look at all the trees in front of you. Maybe there's a weeping willow, a full big maple tree, an elm, out the tree that you want to sit under. Whether you want to sit in the shade or in the beautiful sun shining down on a cool winter's day. Breathing in and breathing out. Just feel the warmth of that sun on your body. Listening to the leaves and the wind. And if you want, you can bring in some rainfall, just slightly, to moisten your skin. And as you sit there, with your eyes shut, under this tree, your higher self sitting there beside you. Can you kind of feel that snuggling up to you? Can you feel the warmth of that spirit around you? You can picture your higher self in any way you would like. Your higher self now is getting up and it's coming in front of you. And you can feel the coaxing and the wooing as your spirit of your higher self communicates only to you. Now listen and take this little journey with your higher self. Breathing in and out. Resonate within you, the A, the E, to vibrate to that higher level of energy, please do. Higher self. Feel that joy and that peace and that serenity just flow over you. This is your sacred place. This is a place you can always return to. When you're ready, sit back down under your tree. Reach out and grasp that higher self and bring it back internally. And feel that healing power of love and light rushing through your body. Feel the peace. Now come back. Be aware that we're here. Kind of move your arms or legs and open your eyes. As anyone want to share something that they felt or saw? Did you just feel it completely full of love? It was good, wasn't it?
I was thinking when you told us to take that walk,
Yes.
on the humorous side, I was walking along a real long sandy beach, and then you said, find that tree, I'm like, ah, nice.
Well, it could have been a driftwood, you know.
Although I was able to shift back over where I stay up north during the summertime, and it made sense at the end that I took off on the sheer path.
Great.
And then I got up on this little knoll, and so the rock is cut out just for a seat, and looks down to a canyon. And so I frequent that through the last 4 months. I spent up north and did meditation maybe once or twice a week. And so then I was able to identify with that, and it brought me right back
to that place.
Right to that place, you know, and I could see the spirit just separate from the body.
Right.
I think is what I
Yeah,
found.
that's what I was
So it was
hoping
really
you saw.
nice.
That's what I was praying that you saw, was that where mine was in a lucid dream, but since then in meditation I have seen my higher self move out and beckon me in meditation to come. And and that's a sacred place now you can go to whenever you want. You don't have to drive up north physically. I just thank you all for being here. Please visit with each other for a few minutes, and if there's any comments, there's cards on the back, feel free to take. If you have any business cards or anything you want to put on the back, please put them back there. And I thank you all for coming.